Close your eyes. Can you imagine it? Can you imagine what it must have been like to be the one born without the ability to see? Can you imagine never having seen color? Can you imagine hearing the voice of your parents but never seeing their faces? Can you imagine what it was like to grow up knowing that you were different, knowing that you were unable to do something that came without thinking to everybody else? Can you imagine what it was like to have to beg, to have to rely on the kindness of others? Can you imagine what it was like to feel mud smeared on your face and told to go wash? Can you imagine washing in the cold water and opening your eyes and seeing for the first time ever the man that is born blind here in the Gospel of John, who we encounter in this story, whose story we interact with and hopefully draw some new perspectives ourselves from. When you closed your eyes and you thought of all of the things that you would have missed out on had you been born like this man had been, when you closed your eyes, did it help you just for a moment, just for the tiniest little bit of time, to appreciate those things that you see? Those things that you take for granted? Is the saying true that you don't really appreciate something until you lose it? I know there's a lot in my life right now that I am appreciating because I have lost it. In many ways, we're all going through a profound period of loss right now. In this coronavirus social distancing, in the lockdowns and the quarantines, we're getting cut off from so many things that are part of our normal routines, our daily rituals. Normal things, simple things that we don't even think about. Things that come as naturally to us as opening our eyes and seeing. Things like greeting a friend with a hug or a handshake. Things like inviting that friend over for dinner. Things like going out, meeting up at a restaurant. Things like being able to visit a loved one in the hospital. Being able to care. Being able to be cared for. In our separation, we have found so many things that we have taken for granted for too long. My niece stands now on her balcony, looking across the little bit of lawn to the house next door, where her neighbor, her friend, a little girl her age, stands on their balcony looking back. They call back and forth to one another, playing games from afar, wondering when the next time they'll be able to play near one another again. We're all going through a lot right now. A lot of stress, a lot of grief, a lot of wondering. How long will this period of loss last? Feeling in these indefinite suspensions, like it might last forever. And yet, through faith, through the power of the hope, of the good news that Jesus places in our hearts and in our world, we know that even the most final of finalities, that even death doesn't last forever. For Jesus, it was just 3 days, 3 dark days inside the tomb. Could the disciples have seen what was on the other side? Could the women who had laid his body to rest have seen that Easter morning coming? They had been foretold it, yes, but could they imagine what it was like? Or was it going to be something so brand new, so unique, so special that it had never been experienced before? Like the man born blind. He says to those listening, never has anyone ever heard of this before, of a person who was born blind being healed and receiving sight. This must be from God. The saying is that you don't really appreciate something until you lose it. But I think perhaps you don't really appreciate something until it is so brand new to you that it's like you had never had it before, that you had been born without it. It's difficult to see that newness now, but that newness is coming. We might be in those 3 days of entombment now. But that Easter morning is coming. And it might come a little late this year. It might come through a long period of quarantine and isolation. It might come through this extended season of longing, a Lent that goes on and on and on and on, but that day is coming. That morning is coming when you will be able to reach out and grab hold of the ones you love again. When you will be able to embrace in community. When you will be able to go out into the world unafraid of disease, unafraid of contagion, unafraid of pandemic, confident and healthy and whole. That day is coming, and I pray that when it comes, that you will experience it as a day so fresh and so new and so delightful that it's like you had never experienced one like it before. God bless you, dear people, with this new perspective. To be able to hope in what you cannot yet see. And that when that hoped-for future comes, to find in it such freshness, such joy, such life, that it's like it's all brand new. Amen.